Man, that intro music is so great! This is one of the greatest intro musics to any video game I've ever heard before. And there was only one other game that I've really had a feel for the music, and that was Medal of Honor European Assault. You know what? This is the first thing I'm going to say. The music in Mafia 2 is just extraordinarily great. They play all kinds of songs from the 40s to the 50s. The songs are actually real, and some of them you might actually have heard from Fallout 3. Most likely your first thought is that it's a cheap copy of Grand Theft Auto. And while it is a copy of Grand Theft Auto, it's not a cheap one at all. It's a completely different game, but actually takes place in the World War II era. And if you watched my LA Noir review, I love games that take place in World War II. Even the old Call of Duties I kinda still do like. Mafia 2 is a one-of-a-kind game because it has an interesting concept and a very great story, but sadly the game has a few more downsides than upsides. Besides the music, the storyline of the game is simply outstanding. I've played a lot of games that have very terrific plots and cliffhangers, but Mafia 2 takes the cake, if I'm using that term correctly. The game has you playing as Vito Scaletta. He was born in Italy and came to America to live the American dream. Or so his father did. Sounds like Grand Theft Auto, doesn't it? Then Vito meets Joe Barbaro. Then he gets in trouble with the police and is sent out to war in World War II. When you return, you and Joe get into a bunch of more crazy adventures and schemes, and the plot just keeps getting better and better. I must say that the ending was quite a disappointment, as it didn't really make any sense, which is a bit of a letdown, but character development is fantastic, voice acting is superb, and the cutscenes are great. The atmosphere of the game is good too. It's supposed to make you feel like you're playing a game in the late 40s and early 50s, and it does a good job at that. The buildings, people, and all kinds of detail looks really old and fancy in the 40s and 50s way. 2K Games did a really good job with putting detail into a lot of things, from dishes in the sink, to gun effects, and even the cars. The cars look really cool. Now it's time for the downsides. One downside is that there's no side missions. You can't go around town and talk to people and ask them if they need help with anything. You just play the main game, and the gameplay is very linear. You can go off on your own and do whatever you want, but there's really no need to. Now there are some kind of side quest mission type of things. You can take cars down to the junkyard and turn them into scrap metal for money, or you can go down to the port and do jobs for some guy named Derek, but you don't really need to. You get money for these jobs, but it's not very necessary, because you don't need money to do anything. There's gun shops, restaurants, and even auto vehicle repair shops everywhere, but they're not necessary at all. You can get ammo from fallen enemies, so the gun shop's not needed. You can get food or drinks at your house, so you don't need to go to a restaurant. And if your vehicle ends up getting destroyed, you can just steal another one easily. The only thing that might have some incentive to buy stuff is at the clothing stores, but even that's not really necessary, since if you need to wear a certain outfit, you get it handed to you immediately. Another issue I have with the game are the police. Man, I hate the police. They are everywhere. They totally kill the fun of the game, because they're everywhere and they will always try and take you down. I swear, you can't go more than 10 seconds without seeing a police car or a cop on your radar. Police are so itchy. If you accidentally tap their car or shove them aside when you're walking on the sidewalk, they will come after you, even when you do it by accident. And they are so relentless. It's not even funny. If you try and resist arrest, they will just take you down with a Tommy gun and a shotgun to the back of the head. Even regular gameplay has its difficulties. Driving cars feels a little slippery to control, and so does your character. Vito moves like an ice skater, and it really sucks when you're trying to move down tight corridors. Besides the policemen and the drug dealers or whatever, the camera is also a big enemy in this game. It can put you in the worst positions when you're trying to move. Sometimes it feels like it's a good idea to put the camera right on the top of Vito's head, which is also annoying, but it also blocks your view. And even when it comes to shooting and fighting, it has its issues. Fist fighting is too easy, And when it comes to guns, hit detection works on and off, and the AI is cheap because it can shoot you when you're perfectly behind cover. This is just a small little nitpick, so don't take this too seriously. When you're in the heat of the battle, your teammates will constantly yell out obscenities and battle cries. And this doesn't happen 1 or 2 times, it happens over and over again. And it's just so annoying. I get that you're in the heat of the battle, but please stop yelling at me, alright? I'm being shot at too.
Back me up, Vito. Way to go, Vito. Go, Vito.
Don't be so gentle, boys.
See you in hell, asshole. I'm back. Let's go.
Even though I've been ripping on the game for its problems, it still is quite fun to play. If you can get past the issues with combat and driving and controlling your character, then you will have a blast with this game. The game has a lot of violence, swearing, and nudity, so it definitely deserves its M rating. However, the game just doesn't have a whole lot of replayability, so I doubt you're going to replay this over and over again for fun. If I am correct, Mafia 2 is currently priced at $20 right now, and I think that's a fair price for this game. I had fun with Mafia 2, but I don't really think I'm going to play this again for a while. I give this game a 7.5 out of 10, and I recommend really just giving it a weekend rent, but if you're really dedicated to these kind of games, I definitely recommend buying it.